Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Glad you're here with us on the 21st of April. Larry Smith joining you here, and we've got a great show coming up. Walter Cheripensky from Walter Football joining us. He was on the show yesterday, agreed to come back today to get ready some more details as we prepare for the NFL draft coming up. Night number 1 of 3 days, Thursday night in Pittsburgh, just a couple of days away. Producer Tony talking with him. And a bit later, Austin Nivison of CBS Sports will be along, talking Stanley Cup playoffs. I gave some bad info yesterday, and I want to apologize to you. We will clean that up here in just a moment. A couple of headlines before we get to Walter, though. How about in the NBA? Billy Donovan stepping down as the Chicago Bulls head coach after 6 years. The Bulls ownership wiped out their front office. Look, only one playoff appearance in Donovan's 6 years. That was 2 weeks ago when they did that. And they said, hey, listen, whoever comes in has to be able to work with Billy Donovan. They expected him to be their coach moving forward. Donovan decided to move on instead. Just one playoff trip again in his 6 years there. Before that, he spent 5 seasons with Oklahoma City, took the Thunder to 5 playoff appearances in all 5 years. So, Donovan, his name always linked to openings every single offseason. This year it was North Carolina, firing Hubert Davis last month. Donovan's name was in there. Obviously, he turned him down as Mike Malone took that job instead. So Donovan, he's a basketball Hall of Famer, and so we'll see now where he ends up after this. Certainly, it's a great career. We feel like maybe he's not done with coaching. Stay with the NBA. People think this is the first of many Defensive Player of the Year honors for Victor Wembanyama, the 7'4" MVP candidate from the San Antonio Spurs, being named a unanimous pick as the top defender in the NBA this season. Speaking of, his Spurs will be in action later tonight against Portland. They try to go up 2-0 in that series. Also, Boston home against Philly. Celtics dominated the Sixers in Game 1. Lakers at home against the Rockets later on tonight. Last night, it was Atlanta rallying to shock the Knicks in Game 2, and so the Hawks go home with that series tied at 1. Minnesota also getting the win on the road. The 6th seed getting the win in Denver. That series also 1-1, headed up to the Twin Cities. Cleveland, no problem there. They're up 2-0 in their series with Toronto. How about Steve Kerr? One team missing from these playoffs is the Golden State Warriors. And some question maybe that he may be done. Well, his longtime star forward, Draymond Green, said on his podcast that he feels like there's a finality this time. Kerr's contract is up. And so that means that Friday's play-in loss to Phoenix would have been his last game with the Warriors if he does not sign a new deal. He's already said he wants to take some time before he talks with management about his future. Steve Kerr, 60 years old, 12 seasons there with Golden State, of course, the 4 titles, 604 wins in his tenure there. It's just been one of the great, considered one of the all-time great coaches in the game. It's crazy, but remember when before he took that job, he interviewed with the Knicks. He was doing analyst work with TNT, with Turner Sports, talked to the Knicks, and the word was he wanted a 5-year, $25 million contract to coach them. And that was a lot of money at the time. And the Knicks were like, no, that's starter money. You've never been an NBA head coach. No, we're not doing that. Well, the Warriors said, yeah, we'll pay that. And look at what happened. What have the Knicks done in the last 12 years? What have the Warriors done in the last 12 years? This is a Warriors franchise that had won 50 games only 3 times since they won the NBA championship back in 1975. And yet in his 12 seasons, Kerr did it 6 times, including an NBA record 73 wins in the 2015-2016 season, where they were upset in the championship round by the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James. Of course, all the success, he's had Steph Curry on the team too. That does count for something. But Steve Kerr, waiting to see what he decides about his future. All right, producer Tony has our first guest.
Well, thanks again, Larry. And we are one more day closer to the NFL draft and the excitement that goes with it being held in Pittsburgh this year. It'll be interesting to see what the Steelers fans think when their team comes to pick. That's always fun, seeing the home team and how they react when their picks come up. Some are happy, some not so much. We'll see what the Steelers come up with. We're joined again by Walter Cheripensky of WalterFootball.com. Walter, thanks so much for coming back with us and diving a little deeper into this 2026 NFL draft.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's hard to believe just one day closer to the NFL draft. Felt like no time passed at all since we spoke. So can't wait to get into this draft discussion.
We talked a lot about the first round. We talked about some of the movers, some of the shakers, some of the picks happening there. Let's kind of dive into some of the position groups as we look at this. Quarterback is always that's the star. That's the star on the top of the Christmas tree. That's the diamond ring engagement ring. That's everything for NFL drafts. If you can hit at quarterback, you're really well off, as far as your team going. That's one position you don't have to worry about, and you can build from there. If you've got a quarterback, you got a chance. If you don't, you're nowhere. This draft, not so much with the quarterbacks. After we hit Fernando Mendoza, it's pretty sparse. Anybody in there kind of intrigue you that could be picked later on and become, say, a Joe Montana or a Tom? I hate to compare to Tom Brady, but nobody's going to be a Tom Brady. But to be that kind of later round pick that turns into a star.
So this quarterback draft class is very weak. After Mendoza, who I like, as I said yesterday, Ty Simpson, I think, is being overvalued here. We had the ESPN personality said that he's better than Mendoza. I think that's crazy for 1 year of experience. And there's a reason why 1 year starting quarterbacks have had a very high bust rate. And so only Cam Newton has succeeded in the past 25 years in that regard. So I don't like him. I think Nussmeier is interesting. Now I don't expect him to be Montana or Brady, but he was considered a first round prospect heading into 2025. But he just had a bad year. But I don't think it was talent or teams catching on to him. He was injured. He was legitimately injured. Like if you watch him throw, every time he would throw, he would be wincing in pain. And so you have to believe that that really impacted him and his ability. So if he's healthy, I think he could be a nice bounce back candidate. So I think he's a good value pick for a team in the third round. If you like a late round guy, I think Miller Moss is interesting from Louisville. I think he doesn't have a great arm or anything, but he is a fine arm. I like that he could see the field well and he could scramble. So maybe he could be like a Brock Purdy in the late rounds.
The kid from Georgia Tech, the quarterback, whose name is escaping me right now, he led Tech in every department, was a real warrior on the field, but was banged up a number of times. Not a great arm. Does he have any wiggle room to kind of make a team, or is he more of a clipboard kind of guy in the future of the NFL?
I think you're Haynes King. I think you're
yes, Haynes King.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's accurate. I think that he could be maybe like a long-term backup in the NFL. He is older though. He's spent a lot of time in school. I think he's going to be 24, 25. So, but then again, it worked out for Denver with Bo Nix. So, not that he's going to be Bo Nix, but yeah, I think that he could have a decent career as a backup.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's go to the running back and the wide receivers, the other real marquee positions, those tight ends as well. Is there value to be found in rounds 2 through 5 in the running back group? You mentioned yesterday that it really is not a strong running back class. Are we going to see fewer running backs being taken and more emphasis on those wide receivers coming out in those middle rounds?
Yeah, so more so receivers in the first round. The only running back who will go in the first round is Love, unless the Seahawks really like Jadarian Price or something at 32. But Seattle owns only 4 picks, so I expect them to move down. I think day 2 is going to be littered with running backs. So you have Price, as I said. You have Mike Washington, Emmett Johnson, and several others. So I like the running back class in day 2. I don't think it's like amazing or anything, but you always find these starters at running back on day 2 and whatnot. And I feel like at least one of those guys should be able to be a decent starter in the NFL, if not multiple. And then receivers, I believe we're going to see 6 receivers in the first round, unless Omar Cooper falls. But then you're going to have some receivers on day 2 as well. Chris Bell stands out to me. I think he's going to be really good. Jeremy Bernard, he's another one who standouts to some others. So yeah, there's definitely value. As told you yesterday, I really don't think there's much of a difference between like pick 40 and pick 60. So yeah, you're going to see the skill position players on day 2, and then tight ends. There are going to be a bunch of them as well.
Yeah, and the tight end position really has, in the last few years, come back into vogue. in the NFL.
Yeah.
You're seeing more teams run that double tight with two wideouts and one back, and some of them are pass catchers, some of them are a little better blockers. Is that something that you think some of these tight ends can fit into these teams and help out and become that second tight end? Maybe not a superstar, but a quality starter that can catch the ball and block for a team?
Yeah, you're going to see a bunch of them. And the NFL is a copycat league, so you just saw the Rams run 3 tight end sets, not even 2. They ran 3 tight end sets. You had the Bears last year; they paid Cole Kmet, and then or at least they had Cole Kmet on their team, and then they drafted Colston Loveland in the first round. The Bills a couple of years ago they paid Dawson Knox a big contract, and then they drafted Dalton Kincaid in the first round. So yeah, you're going to see more and more 2 and 3 tight ends as teams decide to like crack the cover 2 there. So you're going to have Eli Stowers, who had a great combine. He broke records at the combine. He's someone to go around too. I know Charlie Campbell, our senior NFL draft analyst, is really high on Sam Roush, the Stanford tight end. He's really productive. It's good size for the pros. Max Clare is another one who's talked about. Really athletic player as well. So yeah, I feel like on day 2, there's probably going to like 4 or 5 tight ends who go, and I think some of them are going to be good starters.
And of course, with an offense in the NFL, it has to start up front. We saw the Bears, who really invested in their offensive line so that they could keep Caleb Williams in year 2 upright, which they had failed miserably to do in year 1, and how that helped that team. So obviously, offensive line is key. Are there some players in that offensive line group that can help some teams? The star tackles will be gone by the time we get to round 2, but there's usually some versatile guys that can be found that might be able to play multiple positions along an offensive line that are key for franchises.
Yeah, Chase Basantis is someone who stands out. I think he's going to go round 2, but he could play tackle, guard. Drew Shelton from Penn State, he could play every position up front, including center and tackle. So I think, I've seen him viewed as the 3rd round prospect, but someone that versatile, I think, is just going to be so important for the teams. The center class, it's not heavy at the top. You're not going to get a center in the first round, but and on day 2, they're going to be like 3 or 4, I think, good centers who are going to go. So I like that position group on day 2. The guards, you're not going to see too many in the first round. There's Vega Wane. Some people characterize Spencer Fano as a guard, but after that, you're going to have some, like Emmanuel Pregnon, for example. Chase Basantis, if you view him as a guard, you're going to have some high-end guards go on day 2. And so I think that's going to be a good range for teams to kind of fill out their offensive line. And you said it perfectly. The Bears in 2024, they couldn't do anything offensively because Caleb Williams getting sacked over and over again. And sometimes that was on him, but they really couldn't block at times. And then this year they make multiple upgrades. I think they made like 3 upgrades heading into 2025, and suddenly they had an explosive offense that would look like they had a good chance to go to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, exactly, and that's key. You really can't run your offense if your quarterback is under duress every play, or every other play. Look at poor Joe Burrow, who has been sacked more times than any quarterback the last 4 or 5 years. He's always getting laid out. That's never a good recipe for success for an offense. On the other side of the ball, obviously, Bailey, those big edge rushers, they're going to be gone. The guys who can get you 10, 12, 13 sacks right out of the gate. But there always seems to be value in some pass rushers and some defensive linemen in those later rounds that can really help solidify a defense.
Yeah, there are going to be some good edge rushers on day 2. Not so much defensive tackles. I think it's a pretty weak defensive tackle class, but edge rushers, you're going to have like Malachi Lawrence. He's just tested very well. There's some buzz about him going late first. Cassius Howell, who's a good player but has short arms, so I think it might fall to day 2. Zion Young's a potential first round pick, but he has some character concerns. We talked about that before. So maybe he falls into day 2 if teams are worried about him. But he's got talent, so we can see that happening. There's also Keem Mesidor. I think there's a better chance he goes in the first round, but he could always slip because if teams are worried that he's only good because Ruben Bain was on the other side, he could fall to day 2. And then there's Gabe Backus from Illinois. He is he's very quick defensive end. He has a lot of potential. And TJ Parker, who was once considered potential top 10 prospect, he just didn't really live up to in college, but some teams might be looking at his talent as athleticism and just saying, "Oh, we can mold him into something really good." So I think he would come off the board on day 2 also.
That makes perfect sense. The other part is the back seven of a defense. If you can put the pressure on the back seven, generally tends to perform a little better. And if you can't, then they struggle sometimes. But if you can get that back seven to where they don't need to worry about the pressure up front, they can really perform. There are any cornerbacks out there, which we know cornerback is a key position in the NFL these days. Anybody in there that might be a steal person coming out of this draft? I know there's a lot of good corners coming out next year. It's going to be a very cornerback rich draft. What about this season?
Yeah, cornerback more so than safety. Safety looks like it's pretty bleak after Cale Downs, and then there's a couple other like Dylan Thieneman and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Although I think McNeil-Warren's going to be overdrafted. Just not too big of a fan of his. But after that, the safeties are pretty bleak. But cornerback. You're going to have some good players. Chris Johnson has gotten a lot of buzz recently, and he may go first round, but he could fall to day two. That's where he was projected before. But he has a lot of potential. And you have like Brandon Cisse, tall, lengthy cornerback. I think he'd be a good fit for Seattle, 32. But I've seen him go in round two. So I think that round two, there are plenty of talented cornerbacks available. Someone who can go a little later, I like, is Chandler Rivers from Duke. I think that he's a very instinctive cornerback. He's very just very sharp and can make a lot of plays defensively. So I think that he looks pretty good. And AJ Halsey, he's a lot of athleticism to him, a lot of upside, and his stock has increased as well. So maybe he goes higher than we initially thought. But I initially thought of him as like maybe a third round steal, but he could go second round and just be a good starter for a team sooner rather than later.
Lastly, what do you do personally? You're a huge draft person. I love the draft. I have my certain rituals that I go through. I want to have my magazines with me. I want to have my computer with me. I've got to have everything out in front. What does Walter Cheripensky do to get ready for the first and second rounds of the NFL draft?
We'll get ready. Do lots of mock drafts. We're gonna have a mock draft every single day, updated, including 2 on the final day. So we usually do like 1 update in the morning and then 1 update at like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And usually not too many changes in the afternoon. But if we hear anything, we always want to have info for our readers to maybe bet the draft. That's another thing that has picked up recently. The draft betting that's been very popular. Charlie Campbell has gotten us some great odds. 3 years ago, he called Bijan Robinson to the Falcons. He called Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions. A couple years ago, he had Michael Penix to the Falcons, just at 28-1 odds. He's just been incredible. So we always look at those things, the draft prop betting. But as far as like preparing for the draft, it is, I mean, I love the draft. Even before I worked on the site professionally, it was always something I tuned into, just even when it was just a hobby for me running the site. But now that it's my full-time job, I just have to be prepared. So I'm just during the draft, when the picks happen, I know people don't like spoilers. I love them because it gives me a head start on grading every pick. I grade every single pick in the NFL draft. And just knowing who that pick is 2 minutes in advance means the world to me, because I can write it up, have the write up ready, and as soon as Goodell announces it, I click submit, and it's right up there seconds later, and so people can read our picks, our grades for those picks. So grading is a lot of fun. Now it can be stressful because sometimes you're like, what just happened? I can't believe this team did this. Like, why did they do this? And I'm just like, I write an F for it. And then 3 years later, it's like, it turns out to be a great pick and it looks foolish, but like it's fun. It's always something I'd love to do. And it's really cool to do it, just full time. So drafts, I'm really looking forward to the draft. I feel like I need more prep time, but it's going to be a blast and I can't wait for it.
NFL draft time. Walter Cheripensky, walterfootball.com. Again, folks, I told you yesterday, I'm going to tell you again, go there, check their mock drafts out, check their reads out, check the players out. They've got it all covered. It's a great source of information. If you're a football fan, you will not be disappointed by checking out their site multiple times as we lead up to Thursday's draft. Walter, thank you so much for taking some time and being with us.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for having me on these 2 shows. Can't wait for the draft. And looking forward to the next time.
We will be right back here on the Sports IQ. We're going to take a timeout, but we've got more ahead.
Those old golf clubs sitting in your garage right now, there's a good chance they're worth real money. That driver you replaced, those irons you upgraded, even that putter collecting dust. Golf Roots lets you trade them in for cash or credit toward your next set. And right now, Sports IQ listeners get exclusive offers. Take $20 off any order over $100 with code SIQSALE, or get a 15% bonus on your trade-in value with code SIQTRADE-IN. That means the clubs in your garage could be worth even more. Golf Roots is on a mission to make golf more accessible, offering high-quality, pre-owned name brand clubs for every skill level. And if you're just starting out, the Just the Roots starter set is one of the most affordable ways to begin, with full trade-in credit when you're ready to upgrade. So don't let your old gear sit there losing value. Go to golfroots.com and see how you can start or upgrade your golf journey today. Use code SIQSALE for $20 off or SIQ Trade-In for 15% extra when you trade in your old clubs. That's golfroots.com. Golf Roots. Upgrade smarter.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past 2 years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage is only $75 per month, level for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can buy $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rates for 20 years. And if you're a smoker, we have great rates for you as well. At the Term Lifeline, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. So if you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call right now for a free quote.
Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes are based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting exam required to qualify.
Call 855-826-7932. 855-826-7932. That's 855-826-7932.
Listen, were you forced into getting a solar contract and now you just don't want it anymore? Maybe the solar company misled you. Or is your solar contract buried with hidden fees? Are you not saving the amount of money you thought you would on your energy costs? Don't worry. At the Solar Exit Hotline, we can help you cancel your solar contract, even if the panels are already installed. Our experienced legal team will review your contract and help you cancel it, possibly saving you thousands of dollars. You gotta call right now for complete details. So listen, if you're not happy with your solar contract for any reason, we are here to help you cancel it. Call the Solar Exit Hotline now for immediate options to help you exit your solar contract. This call is 100% free. Call 855-227-0286. That's 855-227-0286. Call us right now.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Welcome back here to the show. 4 years ago, during his final season of illustrious, legendary career as the Duke head basketball coach, Mike Krzyzewski had to also endure his grandson, Michael Savarino, who was a walk-on the Duke basketball team, being charged with DWI and ended up serving 12 months probation. As a result of that, the way the report is, he was driving a car owned by then Blue Devil star freshman Paolo Banchero, who now, of course, after being a one and done, has moved on and is doing big things for the Orlando Magic in the NBA. There was some speculation that maybe it was actually Banchero behind the wheel and Savarino switched or whatever, but that's in the past. That was Michael Savarino. Well, over the weekend, Mike Krzyzewski's other grandson, Joseph Savarino, charged with a misdemeanor DWI for allegedly hitting a 15-year-old who was riding a bicycle Saturday night, and that teenager now is dead. Savarino's blood alcohol level was 0.011. He posted a $100,000 bond and is now out there. By the way, we should note that the mother of both of these two young men, now Joseph Savarino, then Michael Savarino, is Debbie Savarino, who is the Duke Assistant Athletic Director and is also the daughter of one Mike Krzyzewski. But sad, tragic news there in Durham as a teenager is dead. And we'll wait to see what happens here in the trial with the Joseph Savarino, who has been charged with, again, a misdemeanor DWI. Let's get to some news right now in the NHL. Boy, I messed up yesterday. I threw in some teams that had won games that had not, and messed up. So let's be clean this time. as we've got Austin Nivison waiting here in the wings to talk to us about the Stanley Cup playoffs. Okay, last night's action. Philadelphia 3-0 over the Penguins, so the Flyers will go home leading 2-0 in that best-of-7 series. Carolina is up 2-0, holding serve at home, a 3-2 win over Ottawa in double overtime. Thrilling matchup there in Raleigh as the Canes are now up 2-0 in that one. It's a 1-1 series now between Dallas and Minnesota. The Stars, after losing game 1 at home, they come back last night and get the 4-2 win over the Wild, and now they're headed to the Twin Cities. Meanwhile, Edmonton, 4-3 winners over Anaheim, and so that was game 1 of that Western Conference first round matchup. Oilers up 1-0 in that series. Tonight, it is Montreal at Tampa Bay. The Canadiens on the road trying to go up 2-0 in that series. We'll talk about the Lightning here in just a moment. Buffalo up 1-0 as well. They're trying to go up 2-0. They're home against Boston. Las Vegas is home against Utah. The Golden Knights trying to go up 2-0. And already Colorado Avalanche, with the best record in the regular season, trying to go 2-0 up on the Kings, in that game being played in Denver. Okay, more NHL talk up next after a break. Austin Nivison, CBS Sports, joins us next.
Are you tired of your website making your business look bad? Is your current web developer dropping the ball? Let's face it, if your website isn't making you money, it's broken. Let Neon Rain create a website that turns your visitors into customers. Neon Rain has worked with hundreds of businesses across North America, building custom websites and applications with modern designs that are easy to update and work well on mobile devices. They can do it for you too. What sets Neon Rain apart? They actually deliver on their promises. Call today for a free consultation. 303-957-3092. That's Neon Rain at 303-957-3092. Or visit them at neonrain.com.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
877-927-3380. 877-927-3380. That's 877-927-3380.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Stanley Cup playoffs underway right now. Joining us once again is Austin Nivison of CBS Sports. Austin, always good to see you. Are you like us? Do you get a little extra geeked this time of year?
Yeah, a little would be an understatement. This is the best time of year, particularly the first round for me. It's like there's 4 games on every night. They're all incredibly intense. This is really my favorite time of the year. The weather's warming up. It's just good all around, really.
Yeah, and we were just talking before we came on about Sunday night's games, especially where every game was close. I mean, either it was a 1-goal game or it came right down to the end. And how about the Buffalo Sabres? We've talked a lot about them breaking their playoff drought after 15 years not being the postseason. They're finally in the dance, and boy, they came out in just a thriller in Game 1 the other night.
Yeah, for the first probably 50 minutes of that game, you're thinking, wow, are the Bruins going to really pull this off? Are they going to do what they did all regular season, which is capitalize on the few scoring chances they got and then just let Jeremy Swayman completely shut down the opponent in goal? And it did look like it was going that way, and I kind of felt bad for all the Buffalo fans in attendance at that moment because it was like they waited 14 years for this. They waited so long, and their team's going to get shut out in the first home playoff game in forever. The place was dead silent. They were booing the Buffalo power play at one point, and then Tage Thompson gets on the board with just under 10 minutes to go, and that spark is all it took to light up KeyBank Center. The place went absolutely bananas. The Sabres had all the momentum from there. It was an incredible scene, and they wound up winning in overtime. I think I saw online that was the first time in playoff history that a team had trailed by, I think, 2-0, at least 2-0, and come back to win in regulation with like under whatever it was, 9-10 minutes remaining. So it was quite a scene there in Buffalo, and that's going to be a fun story to watch throughout.
Yeah, how about down 3-1 with 8 minutes to go, and Thompson gets the 2 goals to tie it, and then of course the game winner there by Alex there toward the end, at the 1 minute left in the game.
Yeah, it was Tage Thompson, his really especially, this year, he was instrumental in Team USA winning the gold medal. And he's playing as good a hockey as he's played in his career, and that's a pretty high bar because he's been very good for the last several years. But yeah, he kind of really just took that game over in the offensive zone. And yeah, Alex Tuck did too. Alex Tuck had some great forechecking. Tage Thompson was great around the net. And then Matthias Samuelsson, who got that third goal for Buffalo, has been a real breakout performer for them this year. So yeah, everybody that kind of had been leading the charge in Buffalo stepped up there toward the end of the game. And it was one of the most fun games of the day for sure.
And what does it mean for this franchise? The one that, again, hadn't reached the playoffs in 14 years, that they finally come through, win an Atlantic Division title. All the momentum, right? I mean, everyone's talking about Buffalo. If they had lost this game, how devastating would that have been? I mean, it's just one out of a best of seven, but still, in terms of just the emotions and kind of some of the air taken out of the sails if they had failed to get this win.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There would have been a lot of air out of that balloon in Buffalo heading into game 2. But I do think even had they lost, I do think the Sabres are just simply a better team than the Bruins are. So, you wouldn't have wanted to fall in an 0-2 hole, but I think they could have survived a 1-0 hole. But yeah, certainly the atmosphere would have been very different for game 2 if they had lost that game.
Speaking of losing at home, was Tampa Bay, the 4-3 loss in overtime to the Canadiens. We had talked about, maybe in terms of last time we talked a few days ago about Tampa, is this maybe the end of a run for them, and a disappointing loss at home to open that best of 7 series against the Habs?
Yeah, lots of things went wrong for them. John Cooper, their coach, got upset in the post-game press conference because his team took 3 offensive zone penalties. So you're taking penalties 200 feet from your own goal. Mm-hmm. There's just no need for it. He was frustrated with that, and then the penalty kill was to be just frank bad. They went 3 for 6 on the penalty kill. Uri Slavkovsky had all 3 power play goals for the Canadiens, including the game winner in overtime. Andrei Vasilevsky was not very good yesterday. That game-winning goal especially, he probably should have had, and that continues kind of a streak of the last few years of him not really playing up to his standard in the playoffs. But to me, the most concerning thing about that loss for the Lightning was the Montreal Canadiens are not exactly the most stout defensive team in the league. They can be had in their own zone. They're not exactly the 2003 New Jersey Devils defensively. They're going to give you something, but the Lightning couldn't generate much at all at 5-on-5 yesterday. And so that's something I'm watching going into game 2 is Tampa has all these offensive weapons, and they really weren't as, they didn't assert their will as much as I thought they would against the Montreal defense. So if that doesn't change in game 2, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah. The Lightning have been knocked out of the playoffs the last 3 years since they of course, they two-peated earlier this decade. How crucial now is this game 2 for them? You don't want to go on the road and down 0-2.
No, you definitely don't want to go to Montreal down 2-0 because that place is going to be going nuts. So, yeah, and in past years, you can chalk it up and you can say, oh, well, it was the Panthers. Of course, they went on to win the Stanley Cup. It is what it is. But this year, it's very different because the Canadiens are a very good team, but they're a very flawed team. And on paper, the Lightning I think are clearly the better team. I think the Vegas odds going into the series certainly indicated that. And so, yeah, it's if they go down 0-2, it becomes a case of have they suddenly kind of lost their playoff mojo, or they come up small? Have they gone from a team that came up big in every big moment to the team that comes up small in every big moment? So that's going to certainly be a story if they drop that second game.
Another team I want to talk about, the Colorado Avalanche, coming through win the President's Cup with a regular season performance, a tight 2-1 win over the Kings in LA. Are you concerned with their start, or this is something they can overcome?
I kind of thought that was actually a little bit encouraging because the Kings got exactly what they wanted. They got a low scoring of game. They got good goaltending, and they had the Avalanche in a low scoring game, which is what they want, because if it becomes a track meet, Colorado's winning that type of game 11 times out of 10 against the Kings. Mm-hmm. So the Kings were able to keep it kind of where they wanted it to, in the mud a little bit. Mm-hmm. But Colorado was still able to make one more play, 2 more plays, and win the game. So I do think it was a good thing for Colorado to be like, fine, we'll play your game and we'll beat you at that game. Now, you do want to see Colorado maybe get a little bit more offense going in game 2. But that felt like a missed opportunity for LA more than it did a concern for Colorado to me.
What's another series that's intriguing you as we're just kind of getting started here in round 1?
Actually, the way that the Wild came out and just absolutely steamrolled the Stars on the road in game 1 was interesting for a couple reasons. First, I think it comes down to Jake Ottinger was not very good in goal for the Stars. Now, there were some bad bounces and there were some unfortunate things that he couldn't help in that game. And the team in front of him was far from perfect. But this comes on the heels of, after last year, Peter DeBoer pulled Jake Ottinger in a do-or-die game 5 in the conference finals against the Oilers. And I think that was part of the reason why DeBoer wound up getting fired after the season, because the players did not like that. But Ottinger was not, he was not himself last postseason, and he's off to a bad start in this playoff. So is this a confidence thing? I think that's something to watch, because Jesper Wallstedt was really, really good in goal for Minnesota. And if Minnesota gets that kind of goaltending with their defense, the Stars might be in for more than they can handle.
Wow. Okay. We're talking with Austin Nivison here of CBS Sports as we are continuing here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Is there another series that you think could maybe not go chalk, if you will?
Yeah, I actually before the series started, I picked the Senators to beat the Hurricanes. So that would be the second wild card team over the top seed in the East. Now, the Hurricanes came out and played a great game 1, and they won 2-0. They did what they do best. They played exceptional defense. But one of the reasons I picked against them was Freddie Anderson. Their goaltending situation had been horrible all year, but Freddie Anderson was perfect in game 1. We'll see if that continues in game 2. I do think the Senators can keep it a low-scoring series like they did. I mean, they only gave up 2 goals in game 1. It wasn't like they were terrible defensively. They just need to get a little bit more going offensively. I think they need to test Freddie Anderson a little bit more, because he showed a lot of cracks in the regular season. And if they can break through and they can damage his confidence, I think the Senators will be poised to make this a very long series if they're able to get to him.
And I love the Flyers Pens series. Philly, first time in the postseason since 2020. Pens haven't been there since 2022. Philadelphia with a nice win in game 1, and now trying to go home up 2-0.
Yeah, that was really impressive by them. I think the most impressive part of it was defensively. The Penguins love to enter the offensive zone with possession and use their creative passing to make plays and create offense. And the Flyers completely frustrated them. They took away the offensive blue line, and it was a team effort. It was all 5 players on the ice, back checking, clogging up the neutral zone, and it completely frustrated Pittsburgh. So the Penguins are going to have to figure something else out offensively if they want to win game 2. Maybe they dump the puck in. They don't want to do it. Maybe they would prefer to chip the puck in the zone and try to get the forecheck going. They have to do something differently, because they kept trying to enter the zone with possession, and the Flyers were absolutely not having it. So that Rick Tocchet system that he's implemented there in Philly has been great for that team. And like I said, Dan Muse needs to come up with solutions for his Penguins.
Yeah. One team we're not watching, the Washington Capitals, just missed getting in. And so now the talk, of course, is all about Alex Ovechkin, and will he retire? 40 years old, 21 years in the league. What's your feeling in terms of the grade 8 calling it quits?
I mean, what else is there left for him to do? I don't know, but I do think maybe if the Capitals management meets with him and they're like, look, we're going to be aggressive this offseason. We're going to take one more crack at it. So if you want to try to win that second Stanley Cup and ride off into the sunset, I think he could definitely be sold on that. And look, I mean, even if it's not that situation, he loves scoring goals. I don't think I've ever seen a player that loves score. Every time he scores, no one scored more goals than him, but every time he scores, it looks like he's scoring for the first time. He has so much fun. So I mean, it's like he clearly just enjoys it. It's just a matter of he's 40. Like, how's his body gonna react in the offseason? Is he gonna be able to get refreshed? And if he can, I think he still has some juice offensively. He's certainly a weapon on the power play. They could use him. So I think if they want to build a contender for at least one season, I think he'd be willing to give it a go.
Yeah, and why not sign a one-year deal? It's a 5-year contract expiring here. He's now a free agent, if you will. Don't see him going anywhere else. But 32 goals, 31 assists, 81 games. As you mentioned, all-time career goal scorer, broke Gretzky's mark last year. 929 career goals. I hope he sticks around. I hope he stays. But like you said, he may decide to call it quits. Austin, listen, great to talk with you as always, man. Great for the insights, and we'll be calling on you soon.
Great, yeah. Can't look forward to it.
Okay, appreciate it. Austin Nivison joining us from CBS Sports, NHL writer. Stanley Cup Playoffs is here, and we'll let him get ready to get his chips and dip for tonight's game. All right, more to come. Stay with us after this.
I get a lot of calls from people across the country who are suffering from the affliction of IRS tax debt, and that's because I have a remedy. Hi, I'm the tax doctor, and if you're having any of these tax issues, call me right now. My team specializes in helping people over the age of 50 solve their tax problems, and the bigger your tax problem is, the more money you can save. If you owe the IRS money, or you're about to owe the IRS money, or even if you need to file years of unfiled returns, call us right now. Our friendly, highly trained representatives are waiting right now to take your call. Over the years, we've helped thousands of people just like you stop the tax liens, wage garnishments, and harassing phone calls. You don't need to send the IRS a big fat check. We can negotiate a lower amount. That's what we guarantee for you. So call us right now. Call 833-789-3068.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. That's 800-613-8053.
I want to give a shout out right now to Val Ackerman, who announced that she is going to retire as commissioner of the Big East after 13 years, 66 years old. And Ackerman, you have to understand where the Big East was when she took over. This was a conference that really had seen its membership decimated by the ACC and its expansion. Some other teams had left as football kind of went away. She comes in, rights the ship. Now has had 4 NCAA men's championships, 2 in the late teens by Villanova under their former coach Jay Wright, 2 here in this decade by UConn. In fact, she brought UConn back from the American Conference in 2019, brought the Huskies back in the fold, and of course all the great championships with Gino Auriemma and the UConn women's team, in addition to other sports being successful. Ackerman, former WNBA president, she already is a basketball Hall of Famer, one of the all-time legends in sports, and stepping down. And so we want to just tip our hat to her and the job she has done coming in. She's done such a phenomenal job, but as a woman in that space, we don't see many women getting a chance to be a commissioner of a major athletic conference in the college level. And she has done that and has done it so well. So congrats to Val Ackerman on a job well done there with the Big East Conference. A couple of stories for you in basketball. For Duke, a big announcement on Monday. Patrick Mbonga, the rising junior center, announcing he will return for one more season, at least one more season there in Durham. That's big news for a team that's going to lose Cameron Boozer and trying to, again, they've lost a couple of key reserves to the portal as well. Loss for UConn, meanwhile. Solo Ball, the outstanding shooting guard, is out for the next season due to upcoming surgery. So they'll get him back in 2027, 28. But again, UConn, already we found out that they're going to get Braylon Mullins back. He's not going to stay in the portal. So big news for UConn there. But again, tough loss to have a Solo Ball not part of your lineup next year. Today is the last day of the portal, by the way. Midnight tonight is when it all ends. Now, what this means is that players have until midnight to declare that they are going to enter the portal. They may have to choose their destination, and they can always still come back if they choose to the school of origin. But it's a big deal right now. So if you have the time, go to CBS Sports. Great reporting this morning by Cameron Salerno. He just said, hey, look, what this means with the portal closing tonight, and has a couple of big players, big picture there at the top with John Blackbell, who's been one of the most highly sought after players in this transfer portal. 3-year star for Wisconsin, third team All Big Ten performer. Duke, it appears, is a front runner. UCLA has been in the mix. Illinois was there, but it sounds like that the money was too rich what he wanted. Illinois already has pretty much their all-starting lineup all set. He's a high-volume guy as well. Illinois doesn't need that, so he's really not a good fit there, even though his dad played for the Illini several years ago. But it's a great talk in terms of just exactly what happens here, how these things are going to go. One other thing that teams are watching, college teams are watching, is are there star players? Will they declare for the NBA draft for underclassmen? Well, that deadline coming up is Friday night. Now, again, even if a player enters the draft, they can still return to school. We're seeing that with Kentucky center Malachi Marino, the 7-foot freshman, former McDonald's All-American, right away declared for the draft, but his intention is he will return to the Wildcats. It's a chance to, listen, any player who has pro aspirations should do this. The way it's set up now is that you can go do this, work with the NBA personnel, find out what you need to work on, go back to school and work on it, right? And now with NIL, you're making money anyway. So it's a good move. So there are several players still waiting to see that. But it's also talked about what we've already talked about too, in terms of the traditional blue bloods and kind of the struggles they have right now with NIL and transfer portal. It says something that of the 4 bluest of blue bloods in the game today, and we're talking about old, UConn's one of those, right? But UConn's kind of the new blue bloods, so they don't really kind of fit this mold right now. Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, of those 4, in ESPN's way too early top 25, in the top 10, only Duke is there. North Carolina trying to figure things out with their new head coach. Boy, Kentucky really struggling with a second-year coach who just can't land players. The guys are coming in, and it appears now Donnie Freeman, the latest target that they had. The big man's going to go, instead looks like, to another school and not go to Kentucky. Tyron Stokes, the number 1 high school player in the country in the class of 2026, still possible. It appears it's a Kentucky-Kansas battle right now, 6'7" player out of Seattle. He has visited Lexington. He's visited Lawrence, so we'll see what happens with him. But so many of these players right now, again, are choosing to go somewhere else. And some players choosing to come back because there are those sizable NIL packages. We talked yesterday about Braylon Mullins choosing to come back as a sophomore. Was going to be probably a fringe first-round pick. He can probably make more money in NIL if he stays and becomes the face of the Huskies in this upcoming season there in the Big East. So anyway, a great read there. It does talk about the Lexington situation in terms of the players that they have landed. They've gotten Washington guard Zoom Diallo, Alex Wilkins, a 6'5" point guard who really raised eyebrows in Furman's appearance in the NCAA tournament. He will now go to Lexington next year. We mentioned Marino coming back, but again, Kentucky, 7 outgoing transfers. SEC star Otega Owe is out of eligibility. He's moving on. And so now it's a question in terms of, again, with Kentucky, who's going to be your starting 5? And will you have 13 players you want in there? It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Kansas also has lost several players as well. They have a great class coming in. Taylon Kinney, Keanu Dawes coming in from Utah. Leroy Blyden Jr. coming in from Toledo. But Kinney, the 5-star guard, that's kind of he's the jewel of this incoming class. But again, Kansas, they'll lose Darren Peterson. He'll be a lottery pick, the freshman. 8 players from the roster, by the way, have hit the transfer portal. So a lot of questions there in Lawrence. So a great read right there in terms of you want to get ready and kind of look for this. But again, keep in mind, watch and see if there's any other players make an 11th hour decision tonight to enter the portal. And the question is, where will they end up? If your team, like say if you're an LSU fan and you only have 1 player on the roster right now, there's still time. Hang in there. Okay, our moment of awe is up next.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices on airline tickets are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts with over 500 different airlines, plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. The only way to learn more is make a free call. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next trip. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next trip.
Okay, time now for a moment of awe. The 1990s R&B group Tony once sung "It Never Rains" in Southern California. They must have been Dodgers fans. It was on this day in 1967 that the Dodgers suffered their first ever rainout at Dodger Stadium more than 5 years after that park opened. And it's not like the proverbial floodgates opened after that. The next rainout at Dodger Stadium was more than 9 years later in April of 1976, more than 700 home games later. According to Dodger Blue, there have been only 17 rainouts total in these 60-plus years of Dodger Stadium. Even rain delays are rare. There were 2 in 2024. Those were the first since 2015. Truly, it never rains in Southern California. And that's our moment of awe. Thanks to our guest stopping by today, Walter Cheripensky. Back-to-back days. We appreciate you. Austin Nivison, always appreciate your thoughts as well. And appreciate you stopping by, too. Make it a great day. We'll see you tomorrow on the Sports IQ.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.